Greetings, greetings, one and all. Greetings, one and all. How are you all doing? It is I, Dr. Treasure Shields Redmond, your erstwhile poet, performer, educator, oral historian, culture keeper, executive director of the Community Archive, which you can check out at thecommunityarchive.org. So um, the title of this video is New Year, New Oral History Project. I am coming before you today to preach the gospel of preserving your grandmother's stories. It is so important. I have to tell you here recently, I had made up my mind that I was going to go near the Georgia Sea Islands and collect oral history from my grandmother's youngest sibling. And when I called my aunt, her daughter answered and explained to me that her dementia had progressed to such a point where it would just not be possible to talk with her in that way. So I missed out. Mhm. I missed out on some really incredible um, memories and wisdom that my great aunt would have been able to share. And then I would have, in turn, been able to share with you. So I don't want you to let that happen. Right now, I am certain that you have elders in your family, elders in your community whose stories need to be recorded and preserved. And I want you to do that. So, I'm going to tell you how to join a class that I'm giving on feminist, womanist archiving, culture keeping, oral history collection. And you can go to thecommunityarchive.org and hit the shop link. You will be pleasantly surprised at the accessibility of the course and how you and I can help plan what you're going to gift the coming generations. I also wanted to tell you about my current project, one of the current projects, which is to talk to descendants of families impacted by the 1917 East St. Louis race massacre. So, first, let's talk a little bit about that because, it's interesting how something can have such an impact, but over time, that impact is dulled, is subsumed in really even more outrageous offenses against emerging communities. So, East St. Louis, Illinois, was once an incredible stop on the Great Black Migration Trail. The Great Black Migration happened in the previous century when millions of Black people left the southern part of the US and moved to the north and the west and the northeast in order to escape the racial violence and intimidation and disappearing and brutalizing that was happening in the South. Not to mention the economic deprivation that was happening in the South as well. And East St. Louis was a place that was an incredible industrial hub. It's right on the Mississippi River. It's right at a nexus of some important, what are now highways, but at that time would have been important roads or uh, uh, um, passing roads to different parts of the U.S. Um, and because of its willingness by the then um, dominant powers that be, the white power structure, because of its willingness to relax every single rule regarding corporations, environmental care, wages, all of that, it was so attractive to industry. And there was an aluminum ore plant that immigrant and white workers were striking against for better wages and better treatment. Some African American workers were hired in their stead. And this created a tipping point to already simmering resentments against the explosion of Black population in the city. And as a result, roving bands of white people went all over East St. Louis, setting fires, lynching, shooting, clubbing, stabbing, drowning, cutting, gutting any Black person that they would find. The great Ida B. Wells came to East St. Louis to record the stories of those victimized by the rioters, massacre. And the great W.E.B. Du Bois came down at the behest of the NAACP and also took down stories. And so far, I have released the story of Johnny Campbell, whose father was the man that W.E.B. Du Bois interviewed post the massacre. And I'm getting ready to release an incredible oral history by a man who has been an alderman and who has an incredible story of his grandmother literally building a raft to cross the Mississippi to escape the violence. And his name is Terry Kujaliwa Kennedy. So I'm really excited about that and some other items that are going down the pipeline. But I wanted to come to you and talk with you about this new course that's starting January 9th, I believe. I believe it's Tuesday, January 9th. And in that course, we'll be talking about all kinds of items. We'll be talking about how long the concept of archiving has existed, early examples, what distinguishes womanist or feminist archives and archiving, what are some current archives and how we can access them, how your family has already been preserving, archiving, and how you might assemble those materials. How do you preserve stories and make a podcast out of them? That's what is available as an example at thecommunityarchive.org. I've got stories of, activists who participated in the Ferguson uprising after Michael Brown was murdered. I've got stories of people who worked on the Mississippi River here in the St. Louis metropolitan. I've got stories of my own father's oral history. He's an 86-year-old native to the area. Um, and I think that you could do the same thing. You too could create an oral history archive in the form of a podcast. I want you to consider that. And if you're interested in that, come to my class on the 9th by going through thecommunityarchive.org and joining. I'm Dr. Redmond, and I'm so glad to have the opportunity to share this with you. And I hope you all continue to have a fantastic holiday and a beautiful Kwanzaa.